Says going live. Says we're live. Now the question is,
Yes.
are we live?
I can hear
That
you.
is the question. I know you can hear me.
I see you.
But because I think it's installed Windows 11, which is why everything's gone crazy,
That's not what you were just saying. Crazy was not the word you used.
It was not. We're a family-friendly channel. I don't know if people can hear me or not. I'm sure you can see me, but I don't know. If you unmute your laptop, do we get any sound?
Yes, they're replying.
Ah.
Yes, you can hear.
Yes, can hear you. Excellent.
Fantastic.
Splendid. We appear to have survived Windows 11 installation. Hello, folks. Hello. So, welcome to September live stream. We've got a couple of false starts. We have moved back to Tuesdays because real life on Thursdays was causing all kinds of problems. I don't want to be toast, and he doesn't want to be toast. In fact, no one around him is toast.
Hey.
No toast.
Hey.
It's quote. No. Why?
Wait.
What's he doing? Don't look at the monitor again. Okay.
Sorry about that.
All hail the floating dog. So yes. So you're a waffle man, you see? See people get the reference. Toast. No, crumpets or bagels. Yes. Anyway, right, yes. New live stream. Well, that's live happening now. You are watching. You know that. We were going to try and live stream the Wi-Fi in the field we were in was a ball and not able to be doable. So we weren't able to do that. Yes, switch back to Tuesdays. We know it clashes with Winter's regular one, but given how real life keeps on kicking us and stopping the Thursday thing, we figured some of you will join us, some of you will watch it back. So, hence Tuesday. Audio is a bit choppy. Okay. I think that means it's a little intermittent or not terribly good.
Choppy.
Choppy. I didn't see.
Oh, I thought you meant kept out like chop, like that.
Right, so usual format. We have talk a bit about what's been going on and what's been happening in what I was V World. Let's not talk about what's happening in V World. Let's talk about what's happening in V World, and ramble about the main topic. And whilst we are going through, Crimson will be curating some questions and randomly throwing them at me and Discord stuff. So, what's been going on in Hobby World since the last stream? Well, I made a boatload of Old World battle reports. Really, really enjoying the Old World, enjoying the modelling and the painting and everything. And Big Bad PC Gaming has gifted Say Hi to membership. Shout out to Big Bad Pizza. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Very kind of you. Right. Brain's going to be a bit slow today because the new job is still kicking my brain. To learn to do all sorts of things that I have to do as a contractor. So,
like words.
How rude! Yes, clearly. So doing lots of more stuff. Really enjoyed doing that. Although I have had to grab myself by the scruff of the neck and put a pause on Old World just for a second because at the end of the AOS Siege of Excelsis campaign coming up, we've got the last 3 episodes are filming, which are all booked in over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I had to, I switched hobby-wise, so I've been painting Murder Snakes. So I've got the 3K, of course, almost painted. I have one model left finished, and that's the Shadow Queen, the giant Marathi with the big wings. She's halfway through, and after that, I've got to paint, and then the 2.5-year epic campaign will be finished. And I was saying to Winters the other day that I think it's the last time I embark on a campaign that requires me to build and paint 9 armies to get through the whole thing. I mean, I must have been absolutely barking mad, but it's going to happen. It's going to conclude. It's going to be epic. So that's what's been happening hobby-wise. I've also been doing a bunch of hobby stuff that relates to the main ramble subject, but I'll come on to that in the ramble subject. So a bit, and my hobby building has taken a little bit of a backseat because I say a backseat. I've all the Murder Snakes were already built, so I haven't done building of stuff recently. I've been spending my sofa time or playing Helldivers on the PS5. Sofa is when I build or watch or play. I've been doing more play recently. And it's non-sofa time when I paint. Desk paint desk. I don't paint the desk. Amazing. Anyway, Crimson, what's going on in your world?
In my world, I have making little ankle biters for 8 weeks, and I've all got back to school. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm just doing party planning for birthdays. I'm planning Halloween because in my other business, Halloween is massive for face paints and body paints and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I've been doing. And also, obviously, doing that as well. And we have had lots and lots of interest, which is amazing. So thank you to everybody that sent their information back so quickly. If you're not, why? That's it.
Now.
No, it's just a while.
No, I was saying now. Send it now.
Oh yeah, now. Not now.
No.
Yeah, if you could get it back to me, that's fine. I've just got a couple of gaps, but it might just be that I've missed who wants to be back or something like that. But I am. We've just had I believe we've just had a request for tickets from a non-channel member. I think potentially. So we are live to the world now. To the world. We're live to the world. So if anybody knows anybody or thinks anybody might want to come,
anyone watching is interested, we'll put the contact details in the description of the video or comment on the video. We're going to be putting it up in a few of the some of the other discords that we've requested that have given permission. So it's going to be going to go up in the Winter's Discord pretty soon.
Oh, that's brilliant, Vic. Yeah, if anybody is interested, I've put a note on Discord with my phone number on it and just Andy, lots of love and kisses, Andy. From me.
Hello.
But I've put a message in there and put my phone number on it and also put the email address on it. So if anybody knows anybody, but that'd be brilliant, Vic. If any of your mates want to come, I think that's just what it's for, isn't it? It's just what it's for.
It's a lovely segue into the Rumble subject this evening. So you'll probably seen from the description that it's Chaos Space Marines as the Rumble subject. But as you can imagine, it's not as straightforward as that, and there's a story behind it. So get comfy, hell in, Mugaholics.
Mugga what?
Holics. Yes.
Mugaholics, not Mugaholics.
Yes, Mugaholics. Yes. So, one of the things that we have in some of our events is making sure that we have an even number of players. It is a constant challenge in any kind of event. And what happens in some events is if it's an odd number of people in each round, two people get to play doubles. They sort of double up against each other. That's not the way we like to go. So what we do, what we did in our last event, which worked well, we're doing this one, is I am the emergency backup player. Should the numbers be uneven on the day, I had a dropout last time, didn't we?
We did.
Yes. Yeah. So the numbers were odd. And so I jumped into the breach with my army. So I did enjoy it. I panicked because I hadn't played 40k for about a year, but yeah, I absolutely loved it. So that's what it was at the beginning. An army prep. No, not at all. You see,
you could always just put yourself in there anyway, I guess.
There's going to be more. There's going to be more. Sorry. There's more preparation this time around because before the event had any faction available. So the easiest thing to do was put some Eldar in there. Because, that's not this time. So which of my older school Chaos Space Marine armies I can turn into
That's the dog snoring.
I can turn into a list to take to event. Now, this is not proving as straightforward as it might seem. So, for a bit of context, people who haven't seen the campaign pack, it requires the production of 3 lists: List A, List B, and List Q. C. 750 points. 750 points. The idea is that lists A, B, and C be used in combination with each other to create larger games. So one game will be 50 just list A. That'll be one of the short games. Another one will be list A and C, 750, 1250. Another one, 1500, A and B, 1500. And one of the games will be 2K, A, B, and C. So the idea is, this is all explained in the event pack, but the idea is that when these lists are put together in combination, they form legal, legitimate lists. So they have no duplicates, the rule of 3/6 applies. And so there are some interesting combinations of trying to see what the three lists would look like. And obviously, from my perspective, I want to have each list to feel sufficiently narrative and to be to feel right to play and have a bit of a story behind it. And so I looked at my various different Chaos Space Marine armies, and I went down something of a rabbit hole. And that's what I want to share with you all today. The associated rabbit hole. Rabbit hole? Rabbit hole. So a couple of shout outs. Bojack has used his membership shout out to say, "Hi, Smiley." 43 months. And Andy has used it for 59 months. 5 years. Everyone, if you get to the Crimson River, you must go. Mandeville was amazing. I can't make November, so I have to live vicariously through you all. Thanks, Andy.
Oh, we'll send pictures.
So I've been looking at my various different options because 10, 10, 40.
So you start there. Do it now, and then we don't have to come back to it later.
Easy.
Okay, so that one. Yeah, it's here's a question from Blue. Am I the only one who doesn't like 10th ed before today?
Yes. It depends what you mean by don't like. Are there other additions to the game that I feel closer affinity to? Yep, absolutely. The incarnation of 4th through 7th is an addition of the game I have more warmth towards, which I guess is why I was drawn to Second Heresy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the mechanic. There are bits I wouldn't necessarily choose. I lament the loss of morale style characteristic. What I do like the way they've opened up some of the strength and toughness ranges to make anti-tank weapons required to take out big armored units. I like that. There are some other aspects that I quite like as well. The thing for me, and I don't know if it's true of other people as well, that I struggle with the missions, because the big difference from 10 is they took out open play and they turned it all into match play or match play light or what was it called? Not Path to Glory. That's the AOS version. What they refer to as the narrative gaming, which is effectively sort of match play games stitched together, which is fine if that's your thing. But they take away all of the the audio is a problem. Let me just check the settings.
is as well.
Audio, it's a bit. All right, muting it and unmuting it. Sorry, I'm just checking out the settings, guys. To improve the audio. In and out. Yeah, that's not ideal when we're trying to. I don't know what will happen if I unplug the mic and plug it back in, but I can try it. Hold on, folks. Right. How about now? Sound. Okay, wonderful. Right. Okay, lots of people saying they can hear. Fantastic. Is it better than it was before?
What did you do?
I refreshed the stream and reconnected it. It was, even though I told it not to, it was defaulting to the camera, the microphone in the camera, which is why it sounded terrible, because this is actually quite a posh microphone, which I got during the glory days. So this should sound pretty good. Okay, right. Back in the room. Chaos Space Marines. Yes. So I've a lot of the changes from. Wait, what?
Oh, you need to go up the chat.
Need to go up the chat. Bojack super chatting for starting the bid for new microphone. Well, that's much appreciated. Thank you very much. I don't think it's the microphone that's the problem. I think
They weren't in sync,
the problem is between the keyboard and the chair. It's the old classic ID10T error. Yes. Okay, so what? Super chat. It's like the chaos power stopping you from talking. Yeah, well, I'm on their side. They shouldn't be stopping me from talking. Okay, so yes, because there have been a lot of changes to the kit models can have and how units can be configured, because in 10th they've really lent into you can only have what's in the box, and only the options in the box are available upgrades. I've had to have a look at my existing chaos armies and look at what is the art of the possible in converting over what I have got and what I can use, what I can potentially use with ideally with a minimal amount of work converting stuff over, because there's going to be a narrow window between finishing the AOS Siege of Excelsis, then getting the next I've got a few weeks to get the army ready for Return to the Crimson Ribbon, because I want to do some filming with it before. So yes, and as long-standing channel members will know, I have something in the region of 10 Chaos Space Marine armies of various sizes and stripes. So I have to go through them all and see, right, what is the art of the possible in the time available? Because I've got lots of minis for all of them, but they're not all necessarily built, painted, the right ones anymore, etc. So I was pretty early on. I was able to discount my my Fallen Dark Angels, because there's only 20 of those guys, and they were all chosen plus Cypher, and Cypher can't be used in the event because he's a named character, and the chosen aren't valid. The models I've got aren't valid as chosen anymore, so they were out. That was easy. Emperor's Children was a bit more was only slightly more problematic to choose from, because most of my, obviously there's now a codex out for Emperor's Children, and a lot of my minis are older minis, Chaos Space Marines, and basically a whole bunch of units that you can't take in the Emperor's Children codex anymore. So there would be a super lot to buy, build, and paint to do that. So that's out. In theory, I could repurpose my existing Emperor's Children as Slaanesh-oriented Black Legion, and at some point in the future, I may do that. But the same problems apply in that they aren't configured right for Black Legion anyway, and there'd be loads of conversion type stuff. Big Bad Peter Gaming, member for 43 months. I have now till the event to paint 1,900 points. Whoa. That's a lot of points. How long? In about, I tell you about 500 a week, about 300 a week. I tell you about 300 a week. I don't know what the problem is. You don't need sleep. So Emperor's Children, not so practical. Death Guard. I actually have 2 Death Guard armies. One is an old metal army, plus a couple of dreads. That doesn't really work with the new Death Guard Codex. I say new. It's 3 editions in now, but it doesn't really work with the new Death Guard. Then we've got my current era Death Guard. I've only got 500 points painted of those that I did for some of the smaller games in the War of the 10 Legions. So they're out because I have another 1,500 points to paint, and ixnay on the time for that. The same applies to the Thousand Suns. Whilst I have got quite a few Tzeentch demons, I've only got a couple of units of Thousand Suns. I've got a lot built and prepped, but the painting would be prohibitive, and that's not going to be the simplest army to learn how to play in any case. So have ruled that one out. Then we come into things that actually no, my Black Legion was quite easy to rule out as well, because they were built around it being when that army was put together. The Black Legion were just the Sons of Horus rebranded, but they retconned that in the narrative that most of the Sons of Horus were killed off, and then Abaddon built the Black Legion from all the other war bands, so very few Sons of Horus in it. And I think I started doing that Black Legion army around the time of the first 3 Heresy books, so a lot of it was based on 20-man legionary squads and units of 10-man Havocs, and that there would have been a lot of work to get my Black Legion list to a legitimate Chaos Space Marine Legion list. Now we have some of the other options that are a bit more interesting. Now, World Eaters. I did a World Eaters army I started it during lockdown and then did it a little bit afterwards. Now, the majority of that army was entirely superseded when Codex World Eaters came out. One moment. However, and that was because, again, it was based on the sort of the Legion construct, but it was all units in multiples of 8. So I had or 8 or 10. I think the Chaos Marine units were 10 with a couple of heavy weapons, and units of 8 Berserkers, 8 Possessed, 8 Havocs for Assault Marines, Dreadnoughts, Predators with the autocannons and heavy bolters for the bloodletting, and so on. Now, that was superseded, and most of those deprecated by Codex World Eaters. However, it looks to me like there is a legitimate build with using Chaos Space Marines with Berserker allies to represent a company or a force of World Eaters that are early on in their corruption, rather than just being Berserkers, mortal Berserkers, followers of immortal Berserkers, and more Berserkers, and also things that go berserk, to be a little bit more in keeping with how the Legion was before it totally crumbled to chaos. Because I view the journey into chaos as a spectrum. They start off relatively normal, going, screw you, Emperor, we're off. We're going over here. And eventually they devolve into just a rampaging subhuman demon horde. But it's where a particular warband is on that spectrum and how far down they've travelled and how corrupt they've become. Some of that is affected by how long they spend in the warp or the Eye of Terror, and how much they embrace and worship the chaos. So, for example, Iron Warriors, initially, whenever they found any kind of mutation, they abhorred chaos mutation. They would amputate and replace with an augmetic every time they found any kind of chaos mutation. So, different legions react in different ways, and I think I looked at this and thought, yeah, I think I can legitimately do an early corruption level World Eaters list using Chaos Space Marines with there's an attachment that lets you give everything Mark of Khorne, and they get bonuses for that with some Berserker allies. The problem with that is because my units, most of them are units of 8, then I'd need to do 2 extra for this unit, 2 extra for that unit, 2 extra for that unit. And so I looked at all that, punched it onto the app, and that's only about 1,200 points. I could lash in a bunch of demons as well, and a couple of demon princes, and maybe get it to about 2k. But that then kind of goes back on the low corruption side of things. So, as much as I quite liked quite like to do that, because I really enjoyed those models, because I also I did special bases with them. I used cork to create rocks that were all stood on, and so because it was all the old terrible pose models where they were sort of like running forward like this with both arms out. But I was able to create some quite good poses with them leaping off rocks and stuff, and I really enjoyed those. And it's a big part of me wants to do them, but the amount of work in the time available, that's just very, very unlikely to happen. But it's still there. And I think I have landed on a Legion, which I'll get to do. But that's in the back of my mind, still going, you could. How much of it's ready? How much of it's just ready to paint? It's not hard to paint. You could do. And I really like the idea of doing that, to have as a 40k army to play anyway. I think some of my armies have just been left standing by time and will never be playable again in the current editions. And I think I'm sanguine with that, and they're just going to go into a metaphorical box and a literal box and be put away. But I think some have potential future, and that's one. There's something there I really find quite attractive.
Teutonic Knight.
Oh, super chat from Teutonic Knight. Love to see more of your Night Lords. Are they Dominus Nox? Dark Pacts don't really fit. Thank you, Teutonic Knight, and that is a perfect segue. So let's talk Night Lords. Night Lords are another serious option, because I based my Night Lords on I built an Assault Claw, which was it Claw or Talon? Talon. Yeah, Talon is the name, the company name. Mine was I take a lot of inspiration from the Dembski Bowden Night Lord trilogy, which is a fantastic trilogy. I thoroughly recommend that. But I've got lots of units that were there's 6 in this unit. I had all the claws numbered. I did a bunch of campaign stuff in early 9th against my Fulminators, when Solo Hammer was a big thing because of COVID. And so, for instance, I think it was 8th Claw, which is one of the Assault Claws, was 8 bikes. But bikes only come in 6s now. And I've got a lot of uneven things. I had 3 claws. The Raptor Cult. Was it the Bleeding Eye Raptor Cult? That was either the name of my Raptor Cult, or I'm remembering the name of the Raptor Cult from the book. And I'm inadvertently claiming credit. I can't remember. It was either, I think, Serrated Maw or Bleeding Eye. One of the ones was the name I gave my cult. The other one was one from the book, and it's been so long I'm getting them mixed up. Either way, the Raptor Cult being separate, I looked at that. Okay, I've got 3 talons of the Bleeding Eye from the book. There we go. Thank you, Teutonic Knight. And I had 3 claws from that of different sizes. I think I had 1 unit of sort of like 12, 1 of 9, and 1 of 6, and a Lord that I'd use all at once. Obviously, they're not legitimate combos now. The equipment on them, not necessarily legitimate. And the various claws in the unit, the Chosen, not legitimate. The weapon equipment combos in the squad's not legitimate, but many of the models would still work, and many of the equipment would some of the model minis with equipment are fine, some of them aren't. So with that army, I would very much need to just get all the minis out, ignore what claw designations they had previously, and see what units I could construct. But that's definitely a viable option. Because I've got, but also I also had Leviathan Dreadnought, Contemptor Dreadnought, and a Mortis Pattern Dreadnought, and they all had character names and everything. There was lots of good fun. But you can't take Contemptor Pattern or Leviathan Pattern Dreadnoughts for Chaos Space Marines anymore, so I'm just left with the Mortis Pattern Dreadnought. Did a conversion where I put wings on his hat. Oh, I like that. So I do have fewer choices. It will be mainly Legionaries and Havocs and maybe some transports if I do that. I do have, I think I had a couple of Predators that were built and primed, ready to paint, so in theory I could do that. But also, they don't really work with. They don't really work with the Dark Pact's notion, because they don't worship guests. But then again, you can put a spin on that, because that was one of the last things that the Night Haunter said to his captains was, before he died, is I rejected this, but this is a tool, you should use it. So you will get some warbands that have led into it and embrace it. So I could do a warband like that for this particular event, but so that's an option. That's definitely an option. Another option, which leaning quite a way away from still, are the Alpha Legion, because I have a couple of 1,000 points, but they are very specific units, and they aren't. It's a mix. I think, so for example, there's like a Land Raider and some Possessed and a couple of units of Legionaries and some bikes. They don't really gel together nicely. It's an army that it was the Claws army that I bought from him, and he my intention was to expand it outwards, and it just never happened. So I don't think that's going to be a particularly great one either. So the other 2 that I have that are still both potentially in contention are the Word Bearers and the Iron Warriors. Now, the Word Bearers, I think, are the furthest away. There's a lot of rebasing to do there. There's a lot of minis that have changed base sizes, and a lot of the units, certainly the Legionary units, the equipment I had on them was quite bespoke and are not going to be valid combos. Yes, I've got lots of Chaos Spawn and Demon Engines, and I could do a Demon Engine host and a bunch of cultists and stuff. But even the likes of the Dark Apostles I don't have the attendance for the Dark Apostle, so I'd have to do something to fill that gap. Also, a lot of my character, the way they're kitted out, they wouldn't work now. Also, another consideration is whatever I do, can I do it in such a way that it will work for Heresy? Because I am more likely to spend more time playing Heresy, although I haven't done much with the new edition, but that's just because I've been so into other things. If I can configure things in a way, because I think the Night Lords will work in Heresy because they're very ornate. They are, everything's meant to look all scary and intimidating. So actually, none of my minis have the Chaos iconography on the Night Lords because I cut it all off before I built them. So they would kind of fit with the terror tactics type approach. Although the Terminator patterns are newer patterns, and I'd want them to be Cataphracti or other ones. So that's a consideration, is how easy some of these things port over. And that's why the word bearers I'm leaning a bit further away from, because the way I have mine painted isn't quite as conducive to the word bearers in 30K. Now, what is quite interesting is going back to the World Eaters. Now, I think, ironically, the World Eaters kind of would work in 30K in a Scouring era, because the Scouring was 8 years after the Siege of Terra, and a lot of things happened in that period. A lot of the more modern pattern Rhino variants and Land Raider variants were produced during that period, so they are legitimate crossovers. If you're playing post Heresy Scouring, but obviously playing the Heresy, because it's at the end of the Scouring, pretty much when the legions got broken up into codices and the second founding was a thing. So there's a window of time there where there's a legitimate model crossover, and it's legitimate, narratively speaking, to be using Heresy org for some of these things. So the World Eaters one still kind of works, because I think maybe because Tactical Marines the Legionaries can be Tactical Marines, Berserkers can be just spoilers. There's a way of making that work. My Word Bearer loadout's much less so, because most of that's demon engines and other stuff. So if I want to have a mind to doing that, that's less of an option for me. Of course, it's a plus with the Night Lords, because the Dreadnought patterns I've got are Heresy patterns. So that's maybe a thing. But the Rhinos and Preds I've got are Mark II, so they're Scouring era, but that's okay. So there's... And then we come to the Iron Warriors, which is where I am currently leaning, because my existing Iron Warrior Chaos Marines, I used shoulder pads and helmets that were Heresy upgrades at the time. So a lot of my minis are Heresy era equipped already. I've got a bunch of various heavy weapons. Now, in theory, I can use similar style heavy weapons and use those either as heavy weapons in Legionary squads in Heresy, or then roll them in 40K, or roll them together into heavy support squads for Heresy, which I could field as Havocs. So, for example, I've got some hip-mounted missile launchers that I don't need anymore, because they were planned for some Mortis Destroyer squads for the Ultramarines, but they've now been Legends. And whilst I'll happily use stuff I've already done to go in Legends, I won't sort of chase new things from that perspective. So I thought, well, maybe what I can do, I can get some Mark IV Marines with some Iron Warrior heads, with the things at the bottom. I can build 5 of them, plus an extra guy, and then in Heresy, use them as a 5-man weapon team, take out the Sarge, put in a Havoc champion with a plasma gun, and then it's a 40k port. And the I have got about 10 metal mortis pattern dreadnoughts, so I can make a bunch of those. I got a couple painted, but I got some more. And it's an easy, quick paint scheme. Spray them silver, bit of gold, Nuln Oil or equivalent, and that's most of the work done. So I can fill in some of these gaps pretty easy. I haven't got a legitimate Chaos Lord to use, but I've been looking at the possible minis that I can maybe use that cross over, because if I want to go low corruption for the Iron Warriors and go on if I want to go low corruption, I think I can use some of the Heresy minis as the 40k characters. So for instance, the Siege Breaker is quite analogous, I think, to a Warsmith. So, but it's got a big hammer, and the available Chaos Marine Chaos Lord has got a demon hammer. So I'm like, if I use that for both, I can. It can be a Siege Breaker in Heresy, and it can be a Chaos Lord in 40k. The Mortis Pattern Dreadnoughts, well, they are in Legacy in Heresy, so I can maybe do a bit of crossover with those as well. And so that's where I'm currently leaning. And then I'm looking at my like 750, 750, 500 point thing, or I say, all right, well, maybe I can do 750 points of the Iron Warriors who stand back and shoot, the really sort of hoity, snobby ones. Then maybe I can do 750 points of the brawlers, who are the ones who go through the breaches. And then maybe I can do 500 points of vehicles and artillery. But the challenge there becomes when these different things are combined together. I did one combo, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. I've got some Vindicators here, I've got a Vindicator there, and these are my my combat Marines with some bikes and an extra dreadnought. Great. Oh, hang on. That does mean my 1250 point list has got 3 Vindicators in it. That feels a bit much. So that's where my brain has been. And the 3 options I have seriously that's the 3 options that I seriously think are practical are Chaos Marines as World Eaters. I think that could be a lot of fun, but there's much more work to do there. Then I think it's Night Lords and Iron Warriors, because they are much more easily portable across to Heresy, and there is much less work for me to do to get them up to snuff. But I still do things like I remember one of the Praetorians in the second Ed boxed set, the one that was in the Sons of Horus colours, the one with the massive axe. I always thought that looked a bit brutal and chaosy, and I thought, I don't know how well this can quite work in a Legion. But I think that's a brilliant mini to use for Master of Executions. It can be a Praetorian or whatever in Heresy, but a perfect Master of Execution, big axe, goes in a squad, lops people's heads off. Brilliant. So yeah, maybe so thinking, maybe I could do a bit of that. Okay, Teutonic Knights super chatting. Just be careful because Chaos Lord is on a 40mm base, and 30k officer is still on a 32mm base, if I remember correctly. Okay, thanks for that, Chitonic Knight. I'll just get a converter. I'll get a. I've done this with some old world stuff. I'll just get a converter base with a blob of blue stack in the bottom, and when I'm playing 40k, I'll sit the 32mm base inside the 40mm converter, and when I'm playing Heresy, I'll just take it out. That's what I'll do. But thanks for shouting that out. I hadn't noticed that. So yeah, so that is that's Ramble's end, I think, on that subject. I think I've run out of.
I've been locked out, so I don't.
You've been locked out?
Yeah. I've only just got back in.
Oh right, you are currently in, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So do I need to ramble for a bit more so you can catch up? Okay. So the other thing that I did consider, and I thought this would be lovely to do from a narrative point of view and really quite nice to do from a hobby point of view. And then after chatting it through with someone, I realized that this wouldn't be any fun to play at the event for anyone involved. I looked at maybe trying to resurrect my House Commentis Chaos Knights, and I did a couple of possible list variations with a whole bunch of the little ones, and I thought, well, what I could do to try and make it less gnarly is I can put 500 points of demons in there because Commentis were all demonic and so on, and I can take lots of the little ones. And then I thought, at this point, it's not that different to I thought two things. I thought that's an awful lot of stuff I've got to build and paint. And I thought, and then it's not that different functionally from a regular Chaos Army. And this was at the point when we were umming and ahhing about whether to have Knights and Imperial Knights in the lists. And when we did the original Crimson Ribbon, the Knights weren't a lot of fun to play against. So on balance, we thought, let's not do Knights in this time round. So they're not valid faction choices. They can be taken as allies, so long as they meet the other criteria in the list selection in the pack, but they're not a soloable faction choice. But that was the other one I did consider, because lots of Chaos armies, because I absolutely loved them back in the day. And this goes back to the question about sort of, do I like 10th ed? I know that's not exactly the question that was asked, but it's the
do it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It wouldn't be any fun for anyone. Wouldn't be any fun. I have a similar problem with Sons of Behemat in AOS. Lovely models, great fun to build and paint. They feel like a lot of fun to play, but unless you're doing it in a custom scenario, it can be pretty brutal and futile to play against. Because I guess AOS is a little different, because the way the mechanic works, you can just hack at them and they will eventually fall over. 40k, not anymore. That was true in 9th, not so true in 10th. It's like you're almost excluding a massive chunk of your opponent's army that's only got the small weapons. And that's not fun. That's not a thing. That's not happening. So my three main options: World Eaters as Chaos Space Marine World Eaters, Night Lords, Iron Warriors. And Iron Warriors are definitely winning in my mind at the moment. A lot will depend on what happens when I go and get them out of storage and see what's and see what I have actually got. A lot of it will probably depend on my whim at that moment in time.
You've got to go around anyway for the Halloween stuff.
Indeed, and I've got to take all my Eldar back, put those in storage, and get these out. And I've been churning out so much old world stuff. I've been running out of space in the garage, so I've been boxing up a lot of armies I don't play anymore. There's a bunch of those need to go into storage as well. So we've got a question on here that's actually asking about some details about the event. I don't know if you want to discuss that now or whether you want to do that offline in the Discord.
All right. No. Do it now.
Okay, well, we haven't, the missions aren't written for the event yet. So Mick the Machine asks, so what will the missions be like for the event, please? Preset objectives or card-based missions? When we have done these events in the past, they have all been preset objectives. None of them have been based on, draw a bunch of objective cards and try and play to them.
It kind of takes, that is quite difficult to do because it very much depends on the day and it can be a little bit stressful for everybody, I think. So I think pre-planned ones are much better.
They're the ones that lean into the narrative a lot more. It will, what we have done so far, and I don't see any reason why we would do it any differently this time. But you never say never. But it would be a battle plan. Is that what we call it? No, that's not the right name. I think that's an AOS name. Basically, you'd have a mission at the start, and it'd be, this is the objective, these are the criteria, this is your deployment type, this is this is that. Go get them. Now, some of them might be ones that accrue points as you go through the game, or they might be end of game victory conditions. But that's different from it being all sorts of cards. That's an element of 10th Ed 40k that I am less keen on. I find I don't really enjoy those games so much anymore. I prefer playing a game with an objective to try and achieve at the end of it.
There were some changeable objectives last time, wasn't there? There was some slightly changeable, but they'd not got to be met. It was just if you can do this for more points kind of thing.
It was, yes. And there will be some random stuff, and there always will be random stuff in there. But I think what this is specifically referring to.
Yeah, thank the Lord from both sides, mate.
The way the standard 10th Ed missions play these days is you have a deck of cards and you draw from that each turn, and that gives you things like get a unit into your opponent's deployment zone or kill an enemy unit. You have to try and do them that turn. And that's very different to a game where you're saying, actually, this is a strong point. One side's assaulting it, the other's defending it. Whoever holds it at the end of the game wins. And that's the kind of thing that's more of a story.
Yeah, remember ours as fun predominantly as well, isn't it? It's the points are there, they're great, but it's more fun than technical.
They're not designed to be balanced as in the same way as match play games are.
Yeah.
What we've done from the first Crimson Ribbon, we had two principles. We had the narrative and then having fun in that order. And one of the things, sort of the feedback and reflections after the event that we had was that in some cases, the narrative was so one-sided, it wasn't so much fun. And what we have deliberately doing this time around is flipping the order around, where the two things are the fun and the narrative. However, the higher priority is the fun. And then the narrative is a close second, but it is a second.
Yeah. And just that, yes, Aaron, just like last time. Yeah.
Look, yes, but well, some of them may be secret, some of them may be obvious.
Maybe.
But the other thing to remember is this time, it is a chaos-held planet.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Mr. Dave Warren. Hello, sir. Dave is an old live roleplay buddy of mine, but we randomly... Dave Warren. No. Not a chap you know. We randomly met in a games workshop in Southport in about 1995. That was the first time we ever ran into each other, and then we found ourselves members of the same live roleplay club. So yeah, hi Dave. Right, so I rambled a bit more. Are you up to speed on any other questions, or
No
and you've
other
just
questions?
taken a biscuit? So my bad. I should look round before talking.
No, can't see any more.
Do
Just
we
check Discord.
do everything from Discord?
I don't think so. No. No.
Okay. Well, in which case, I think we should head towards wrap up. Is that we good to head
And
towards
that's
wrap
not
up?
because Dave's just arrived, is it?
No. No. Yeah, so the first thank you, as always, is to Crimson for organising me, without which these live streams and these events, to be fair, would not happen, because they are Crimson events, not Say Hi Paul events. Yeah.
Okay.
Big thank you to Crimson.
Using their membership chats, we've had Bojack 43 months. He's been a member. Andy has 59 months. And we had Big Bad Peter Gaming donate 1 membership, which is fantastic. Thank you. And I think that was Rika that took that up. So thank you for that. Kev, 57 months membership chat. And thank you also to Bojack for starting the bid for the new mic. Luckily, we didn't need one, but you know. Big Bag Peter Gaming used his membership for 43 months and Teutonic Nights, 2 super chats, and Mick the Machine as well. So just a massive thank you. And there's so many kind of people that have been on here forever. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks for all your ongoing support, folks. It is amazing.
We are really looking forward to anybody that I've made contact with. I've now let know that we are selling tickets to the World. So please pass that on, because that would be great. There are only 14 left. And they do sell, because people sometimes come in 2s and 3s. It's not very long before, well, I'm hoping they're going to be snapped up. So it's going to be a really good event. It's going to be well worth your time to come along. They normally are, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, everybody. We go lay down in a dark room on a Sunday night, but apart from that, they are really, really good.
I think I might need to book the day off work afterwards.
I think that probably, and Muldis as well. He probably needs to do that as well. So yeah. So thank you to everybody who was so quick in getting their information back. If you've not got your information back, could you please do it as soon as you can? It's all I really need, because I can do the dietary stuff and I can do all the data protection stuff whenever, on the day even. But what I struggle with on the day would be armies. So if you've not already said what army you want to play, please let me know, because that does have a big impact when Paul is writing the...
There's a reason we have a cut-off date for ticket sales, and that's because we write that stuff after we know what we got, what people are bringing.
And before we have the cut-off, we kind of have a conversation about, is there anybody that we might be able to ask to change, if need be.
Well, some people say I have this option and that option.
Yeah,
so
it just
when people have said that, we
tend to stick to the first one. But if somebody has got, I mean, Scott is amazing. He can come up with whatever. So he's brilliant, and he'll swap for us. But it just gives us that little bit of time to prepare. I mean, then anybody that's done events before, you know what it's like. You've got 101 things to do, and it's always amazing, but it just means that our life's a little bit easier.
And just to be clear, we don't ask anyone to swap who hasn't offered to do so.
We don't. So absolutely not.
There'll be nobody.
No. Everybody does get their first choice, but if we get everybody back a little bit earlier, if we do need to ask the ones that will swap and change around, I don't necessarily need you to pay immediately that you book a ticket. If you don't get paid until end of September, whatever, I'm quite happy to just hold you a ticket. So if any of your mates are sort of saying, oh, I want to go, but I can't afford to go right now, I'm quite easy where that's concerned. So yeah. Easy is probably not a good word. But, everybody knows what I'm like. So
Flexible.
just be flexible.
Accommodating.
Accommodating. All the above. So just let me know. It's not a problem at all. That is it from me.
Okay, in which case, thank you again to Crimson. Thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. Your company has been amazing, as always. Apologies for the technical issues. It's Windows 11. I still think back to South Park, the movie, when they get Bill Gates in and execute him because Windows 98 was rubbish. That always, whenever I have any technical problems, I always think back to that when he's yelling, "Damn you, Bill Gates!" Always makes me think of that. And on that note, we will see you in the next one.
There will be another one, won't there? There'll be another two.
There'll be another two,
won't
yeah.
They, before we actually go there.
First Tuesday of the month. Now we've switched back to Tuesdays from Thursdays.
Thursdays weren't really working, so Tuesdays is it. But I mean, you can watch it
great
as
theory.
many times as you want to and catch it whenever you want to. And put on everybody's emails that I will be in touch closer to the event. But if anybody's got any questions, please let me know. And everybody has now got my phone number. That's probably texting is a faster way to get a response at the minute, but whichever you want to do, it doesn't matter.
Okay, and on that note, take care, everybody. Thank you for your company, and we will see you in the next one. Say bye, Crimson.
Bye, Crimson.
Bye.